Alright, hello everyone, my name is Disc, and in today's video we are going to look at a 16 Skyreach, and we were with Yoda, which was pretty cool. It was a bricked key, but I think I learned a lot, and it's a video I've not covered yet on my channel, and I've had a lot of changes to my gameplay in the last couple of weeks. So I wanted to make a video covering it, even though the key was unsuccessful. But some of the biggest things we're going to talk about in the video is some UI changes I've had. And first, I have made a switch over to Platinator, however you say it. I'm coming from the Better Blizz suite. So they have Better Blizz plates, Better Blizz frames. I actually think those are better add-ons, but they're kind of falling behind when it comes to the competitors. But I've spent some time configuring this, and I've actually made it look almost exactly like what I had in the past. So if you've watched my videos previously, this should look almost exactly like we were in the War Within. I think that gives myself an advantage. I think that gives the viewer an advantage. But the biggest thing that Platinator does now is we can color code mobs based on their type. So if you look here, this should look similar to what we've had in the past. Mainly what I'm trying to do with this color coding system is, as a healer, it's not a bad idea to just focus down the biggest mob of a pull. So I'm just looking for the darkest color in any given pull, and that's where I want to put my focus. That's where I want to put my damage. And then also a change that I've made, let's see. So important casts, I've had it in the past where the nameplates are red, and then the contrasting color is blue for the important casts for our fear. So those are coming back as an aqua color. We have some examples in here. But then I've also switched over to Dander's frames. Again, I think Better Blizz frames is better. But at the moment, they're kind of falling behind Dander's. So I've spent some time configuring this. And again, we look almost exactly like we did in the War Within. Both of these profiles are shareable. So that is something I'm working up towards, again, sharing these profiles with my followers, getting my Metafy going for lessons again. So stay tuned for that. And then as another quick recap, I don't think I explained it too well in my previous video, so I wanted to give it another go. But I'm using a macro to cast all of my Radiance off the tank. The macro also casts Evangelism off the tank, kind of the same spell. And the reason you want to do that is because the tank is the person who's most likely in range of the full party. I see a lot of healers when I watch other Disc Priests, they just cast Radiance off of themselves. I think that's the second best option, but the first best option is casting it off the tank. They're the person who's most likely in range of everyone. Anytime you cast a Radiance, the goal is to have all 5 people atoned in your party, and casting it off of the tank is going to help you do that. So let me see. So there's 2 aspects of this. So just to kind of make a point here. So all you need to make this method work is a macro that's blank called tankhealing. And then, bear with me here. So I have it set through click casting with a mouseover. So all you do is put this, I will put it in the comments if anyone wants to copy it, but you don't have to run it through click. You can also just run this as a macro. But what it does is it creates a macro with the name of your tank on click. So for example, I don't know who this right here is, needle holder. So all I do is I activate my keybind and click, and it fills out the macro. So what this does, basically, I look at Radiance and Evangelism as kind of the same thing. One's just modified. Therefore, I cast them with the same keybind, just with different modifiers. And what this macro will do is fire both of these spells off of your tank. It is as simple as one click. So again, a macro that's blank, call it tank healing. This is your run command. You can do this as a native macro, or you can do it through click. But I think a mouse over through click is pretty easy. Let's just watch one more time. Let's find a guy. Yeah, so this is a good example where it comes in handy. I can't type this out. What you could do is say copy character name, but instead if you run this macro, it autofills it with these characters exactly how it is, and then your Radiance and Evangelism will heal off of that person. It is very helpful. It basically what we're doing here, if you read between the lines, is we're trying to make Radiance a button we can just press as a part of our rotation, rather than having to worry about the mousing over aspect. Anyway, then the last thing I want to say, it was brought up in a couple of my videos, but people were asking, how did you make your spells look like a weak aura? And this is something I've always done. I've played WoW this way for years, so I'm really in a seat of advantage, I guess, being that I've not had to change my approach. I do think using your action bars for your spells is the superior method. I think it's always been that way. I don't see a reason to have a weak aura stand in for your spells. I don't see a reason to have a cooldown manager stand in for your spells. Just have your spells be your spells. I do use dominoes, but dominoes essentially is just your action bars. Native action bars can do this too, but that makes it fully customizable. You can have different sizes, positioning. You can take a bar that was 12, you can make a bar of 2. Fully customizable. This is all you need. There are a lot of advantages that come from using action bars. Yeah, you can just key bind these directly. Basically what we're doing here is we're reducing redundancies. Instead of having, let's say, an icon for your penance here, but then the key bind down here, just make it all one and the same. But yeah, these are just action bars. I use dominoes. I think this is the best way to do it. And I think it's a lot of fun. Yeah, you can change the size, you can change the button count, do everything you want. But this, I do think, is a pretty good approach for playing Discipline. You know, we have our personal defensives here, 1 and 2. External defensives here, 1 and 2. These are our main 3 spells for Atonement Healing. I look at Evangelism as a DPS button at the moment. And then here are our heals. PI is kind of hiding. But I think this is a good approach. Maybe trying to adopt this method, tweak it a little to your liking. But yeah, so we have a Skyreach 16 with Yoda. Again, it was not completed. We played it, sadly, about probably 7 or 8 times in a row. We got better each time, which I think is... I like doing repetitions on a dungeon. I think that's a great way to learn. But we did not get the key. Every time we failed it, it was for different reasons. I think I was only the problem once, so kind of happy about that. But let's go ahead and clip over to the key and let's look at these UI changes and yeah. All right, here we go. So on pull 1, really all we're thinking is get PI out. Not a bad idea to go ahead and drop barrier, get it rolling, paints up on the tank if necessary. On this run, we're going way around the corner. I'm just opening with as many dots as I can and making sure I don't get behind. So playing speed boost, playing my feather. Set my focus on the bird. Making sure our tank does not lose his atonement. Atonement is not range-based. Melted that off just so I could get in position. Okay, Evangelism is out. Barriers down. Grabbed and execute. Here goes my second rift. Best practice if you're playing Void Wraith is to just play the rift nonstop. Collapse the rift early. Another nice thing too, you'll notice my totem frame is right above my torment spells. Edit mode expanded is back in the game. Hell yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, rift is out. And there was a fear bomb, so I'm not fully vetted yet on where best to place our fears, but we have a cast in this pull called Repel. It is 100% a group killer, and similar to my old UI, all of our important casts for fears are going to come through as an aqua color, which should contrast the red of the nameplates. We want to watch for that aqua color, and that is a great place to place our fear. I think my attempt back there might have been a miss, someone beat me to it, but this is all for practice. Okay, one more rift. And that was a direct penance, a defensive penance. We are getting to the point now, I would say 15-16 is definitely the break. where you have to start using your penance defensively. And you'll see that a lot, especially next boss. Okay, so all we want to do here is I'm watching the boss timers for Fan of Blades. That's really the only cadence we have to mind as the healer. And we want to time our rift there always. Open with the Evangelism just to get it rolling. And the Fan of Blades, I've noticed, it's a little bit quicker than our cooldown of Mind Blast. So a really nice way to fill the in-between, because it will catch up to you at some point, is, you know, throwing that's when you can use your barrier. Okay, this is where we're getting behind. So I have to use my rift here just to recover the health before the next Fan of Blades. But that means my next Fan of Blades, I'm not going to have the heals. So I think that's when I go in for a barrier. We don't get the best use. At least two of us are in it. But so I kind of use this as my reset moment. So I make sure I have a new dot up. I just got my rift back. And the Fan of Blades is in 5. So a really nice, a really important aspect of Mind Blast is it is a massive upfront heal. So I think I was getting into a bad habit where I wasn't using the green heal element of the Mind Blast to my best advantage. So I'm trying to cast the Mind Blast after the damage goes out. I think that was a good example right there. I let the Evangelism, the heal from the Radiance, actually take, be less overhealing, and followed it by the Mind Blast. Yeah, so in a perfect world, the Radiance recovers green health, and the Mind Blast itself covers green health. Sending another PI just to get this over with. If I were to critique myself, I'd like to see that play back and see how long I sat on PI. I'm noticing I think, you know, we're all just so dependent on weak Rs after the last 15 years of gameplay. Okay, so I find my focus target. Doing a little bit of a ramp here, right into my rift. Paints up the tank just for comfort. So my target just lost his dot. Switch targets to preserve my dots. Here goes my next rift, right on cooldown. So at this point I'm looking for an execute. Yep, got one. Free pet, and a forced collapse of the rift. Cancel aura entropic rift. Okay, so we were doing this pull differently at first. We did a Hail Mary with all 3, but now we're splitting it. And this is the room where you want to start using your penance defensively. So I'm paying really close attention to who's targeted with the single target hit on my Dander's frames. Got a quick execute there. Yep, and in that case, a flash heal and a void shield. Okay, a couple of dots here. Evangelism. Okay, so I did just get PI, but I think I'm holding for boss. Let's see how I play it. Grabbed and execute. Okay, I was targeted that time. It is a great place for Shadow Meld. Mitigated that one. Defensive penance to keep the team up. execute, double torment. Yeah, so it's really nice moving your totem frame above your torment spells. Makes it a lot more easy to track where you are in your rotation. Okay, so I'm kind of just waiting here. I delay for the beams to come out. And I do think we have really good teamwork here, so let's see how it goes. Yep, defensive penance. I use both my personal defensives, Desperate Prayer and Fade. And I'm still learning this myself, but since we did this a couple times in a row, defensive penance, every second beam you have a supernova after it. So really important to have the team topped. Have a shield in place perhaps. Yep, and on that one right there I used a health pot just to make sure I was topped. And we have a little bit of a lull here. So every 2 sucks. Okay, let's see. Fade and paints up myself. And this time we're using Evangelism. So I defensive penance, and then I go back to my Void Blasts. Doing a couple spot heals in between my Void Blasts just to keep the team up. Okay, we're back to a personal defensive, Desperate Prayer. Sending out the Rift, and defensive penance into the Mage. Okay, now here we're about to have the Supernova. Barrier, Flash Shield followed by Void Shield, and we're A-okay. Yeah, so I think this is where the Lock and I have good teamwork. I noticed he's right in front of me. So I let my health dip a little. I don't really have anything but Fade. I step out and let him take it. And that's probably about the best you can do on a boss like this, is share it, especially if you don't have a lot of personals. Okay, so I opened with a death for the penance. Got a couple extra torments from the Mind Blast. Okay, we're about to have a Supernova. We're A-okay. So really all I'm doing here when it comes to the boss timers is watching for the fiery smash. You want a rift on every single one of them. And I have heard through the grapevine, well, there was a post about it, that Blizzard is going to allow us to color our boss timers. So that'd be really nice to have the ones that are important to us stand out. Okay, so open with Fade, a couple of dots. And I am holding my Evangelism here. This next boss is... oh. I forgot about that. So if anyone knows exactly what happened there, I think I asked in party. I'm not sure if I got an answer. I think that's a mechanic I wasn't aware of, that the birds fixate. If anyone who's watching this video knows, let me know. But on this boss, there's really only... it's kind of similar to the last one. We have to watch for one mechanic to time our heals. And it's the... I forget what it's called. It's the Sun Break. So it's a great place to backload your Radiance. It's a great place to backload your Mind Blast. And you really want the advantage of the heals that come from those spells. Yep. So I waited for the damage to go out, then the Evangelism, and then the Rift. And these birds are no joke, especially if you're going to play DPS disc. You've got to put damage into them, switch targets, and attack them. Okay, this one I used Desperate Prayer. And personals are great on any of the Sunbreak, and I think this next one I use Barrier, so let's see. It's coming in 2 seconds, the whole team is clustered. Barrier and Fade. Backload the Radiance. Backload the Rift. Switch targets. And fuck them up. Okay, let's see. We're about to have another sunbreak, and we're not quite ready here. Paints up myself. And run. Okay, let's see. We're about to have a sunbreak. Backloaded my Evangelism. Backloaded the Rift. And attack that bird. Desperate prayer on this one. Oh, my Rift didn't cast. I remember that. Okay, we're A-okay for a second. Okay, let's see. I should be able to open with an execute. Yep. Triple torment there. Backload Radiance. And bird down. So again, I'm probably going to watch this back after I finish the video, but I think my PI might have sat available for a little too long there. If anyone else has an approach to this at the moment, if you're in a pug, I'm just trying to play my PI on cooldown. I do miss the days of being able to coordinate it. Grip our tank. And this is where things start to kind of fall off. We only made it this far once, I think. So this was the part of the key we didn't have as much practice on. And I really don't know what happened. Maybe I'll just play this out and we can see. So I know I start losing range on people. Paints up our tank. Defensive penance. Barrier. Potion. So, looking at my spells, I had another pain sup I could have dropped. I feel like things just were getting out of hand.
I simply wish you had lasted a little longer.
From my point of view, even watching this back, it seemed frantic, and in the moment I felt it was frantic. But yeah, we died. So I think we tried again, we get through it, and then kind of the same thing happens on the next pull, which sucks. If anyone has a take on this, after we wiped, I kind of asked the party, I said, what's everyone's take on, what happened? And Yoda said he wasn't sure. So, I think our deaths were, partially due to attrition, but I was hitting my rotation, as well as I could. Okay, here goes another rift. Some executes we might be able to pick up. Yep, a couple free pets. Collapse the rift early for the damage. Okay, set my focus early here. Penance to spread my dots. I guess my take, and maybe this is maybe too passive of an approach for a lot of WoW players, I think we might have been pulling a little too big, being that our timer was almost 10 minutes. Not this pull necessarily. Let's see, I forget if we get through this one or not. other paints up I can offer. There it is. Defense pins. Okay, yeah. So we got through that one, but now I have one paint up. And this, I would say we have 8.5 minutes. I'm not sure if pulling this big suited us. I guess my point of view is we could have pulled them smaller and timed. We had, yeah. So I had a paints up, but anyone who's watching, feel free to click that back by 5 seconds. We just went to hell so quickly there. There was almost no time to react. I think if I were to critique myself, paints up isn't always a reactive spell, it's proactive, and I could have played it earlier, but pretty much the whole team died in a matter of half a second. So I mean, yeah, I would have liked a smaller pull. I think we could have timed the key with a smaller pull. I don't want to critique Yoda, he's obviously a much higher ranked player than I am, but I can't help but think we didn't, before the last wipe, we did not need to pull all of this in order to time. And I think we do the same thing here again. Okay, paints up is out. It's just too much. That attempt, we obviously lasted a minute versus the last time where we lasted only 20 seconds. Yeah, I mean, if you rewind that going into that last room, we had almost a full 9 minutes. And I think it comes from, I'm going to watch this back myself. There's an additional mob that comes from, I don't know where he came from, the sky, an extra bird. I think, what I would have done is take the bird with a group and then maybe double the last two. But that one ad that came from the sky with the double, I think kind of did us in. But, I'm still learning. I'm sure they're still learning. I had a lot of fun playing these keys. We did like 7 or 8 of these in a row, and that was our best attempt. Something I do preach, and I was trying to, get the team on my side with this. They wanted to change the key, and I was like, let's just keep going. We have good reps here. We have good momentum. We keep getting better each time, and I think that is a great way to learn. If you're ever kind of bored on one afternoon, play the same key over and over and over, and you'll get better at it. But looking at the damage, 30,000 per second on the DPS for Voidweaver. I like that. I don't necessarily think our wipes were due to, I don't think it was like on my shoulder altogether. Yeah, if you see in chat, I said, what was our miss? And he says 1 heal. I don't know. But I mean, you can watch it back. I gave him a lot more than 1 heal. I played all my defensives, barrier, paint ups, everything. But anyway, I had fun. Thanks, Yoda. And until next time, Disc.